Yeah. Hello, 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 my friends. I'm doing my best really with this YouTube thing. I've been struggling with it for so many years, and I'm doing my best to try to nail it professionally. And this is the image that I love that I have just created myself, which is hi, 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 hi. Here I pop up once again. Now, I've been struggling a lot since I'm in Europe, as I said, coming from South Africa, entering to the world stage of the world, which is Europe and American, etc. And now I am seeing this massive movement that somewhere, somehow at my age, I'm fascinated to see humankind taking a stand to something that I have always seen, and I had no power to do something about it, or even to even mention, because of you thought if you had to mention, people would think that you are raising the cut of racism, where even when we are when we are lost sometimes, it all boils down to the injustice and the imbalances that we see in this world. And so thank you so much, all of the white people. They call you our allies, and I think we're not allies. We are sisters and brothers, and the world has been a better place. If you look at where our great parents were on both sides, from the white people to the black people, we have done a lot ourselves to move away from the pain that we have experienced. Because I think those who have killed in the past, it wasn't easy to go and cut somebody's life and do all those things that they have done. So the white community, we clap for you guys that you have done lots of healing to move away from so much pain, to be where we are at today, where we are really, really are working together to find balance and to find ways to move forward. And so that's why I'm so passionate about these discussions, because of, as a black South African myself, I've been affected dearly by this thing called apartheid. This racism thing has been my story since I was a little girl, and I find myself still struggling in navigating in this world very clear, not knowing where my place is as a black woman, because of this racism thing that has taken over the world. Which, as I have said, racism for me, it's not racism as we call it, it's hatred. And in this past, I was just saying to a friend of mine in South Africa that when I came to Europe, yes, I experienced this injustice as well, but it was not so bad as where I came from, which was South Africa in the 90s. As I was becoming a woman, and when I came into the world, I realized that wow, the world was really, really has moved on. There was a certain kind of understanding of one another. And when people like Donald Trump came into power, suddenly there was this change, this tone of black and white. It was becoming stronger and stronger and stronger. And as I've been in Europe now since 2003, I really, really had experienced it, that there was a change. There was a change. There was a certain pain that was roaming around that wanted to take us back to where we came from. And and I'm so glad. I'm so glad, and I'm so honored that once again a human spirit is winning. A human spirit is standing together to say no to this hatred of each other, whereby me and you have nothing to do with it. Our forefathers knew where it came from. Before all this anger, this killing, and this injustice, it started somewhere, and we don't really know exactly where it started. And I can say that myself. Maybe somebody might come back and say, you don't know your history. It's a history, it's not reality. What I can say, it's what I'm seeing now. What I'm seeing now, and what I'm hearing, and what I'm experiencing. It's something present, it's something that I can touch. It's something that I can say, I've got a smile in my face, over for almost 4 years now. I've been going through this, this agony of fear as a black person, and it escalated. And now it's the time for us to say, we're saying goodbye to this anger, to this massive, and people are becoming aware. Lots of people, when you say racism, people didn't understand what did that mean. When you said white privilege, myself, I didn't understand what did that mean actually. Only now, when you start really realizing, people expressing, those who have done massive education around this subject, then you realize that, so this is it. And then you start placing yourself. And I'm gonna say it very clear. This issue, it is not your issue. It is not a white man's issue only. It's an issue of all of us. All of us, we have to do. Excuse me, you're really making lots of noise. I'm really, really sorry. Okay. Okay. What's going on? I'm so sorry. Bear with me. Oh, you can say gracias. Yeah. What did you want to say something? A problem solved. Okay. I'm back again. So what I'm saying to you guys today, I say, let's honor black excellency. What does that mean? What does that mean? And I'm gonna put it down to what I know myself as a black person, and there is little I know. That's the problem. The problem with us as black people. Yes, we get this support. Black life matters, and people are, and then you're seeing black kids as well, and all their friends. It's not only black kids who are doing this, leeching and destroying shops and all that. And I'm saying that's something that we need to work on. Racism shouldn't be something where we showcase anger to deal with. The more we talk about it, finally, our fellow brothers are seeing what's happening. They said this march has happened in 1965, has happened in even 1935, happened. But in those days, we didn't have our fellow allies with us. And for the first time, we see our fellow brothers and sisters. As I said, shall I call you allies, or shall I call you my brothers? Because you're standing together with us and our sisters. And so there's a movement, there's a change. But it's not only a white man's responsibility to see change. This change requires all of us to bring something in, to see our life getting better. And I'm talking from my experience. I just said it today that yes, white people are trying very their best to remove this dark shadow that lies in their backyard. But is it really and only a dark shadow that lies in the white man's yard? Or we also have our dark shadow as black people that we need to deal with, so that those who are thinking of helping us, those who are thinking of trying for the first time to give us a chance to breathe. You close there. Bear with me. You better close that one. So sorry. There's fixing of the house here, so there's lots of noise. Yeah. Bear with me for the background noise. There's a house fixing and I'm surrounded with madness. So, me, let's get down to what did the black people do? What has the black nations do to influence the world positively? That's where we're gonna start at. And I there was a time when I have asked my white friends questions. What did the black people? What is it that the black person has contributed in this world? And it was very difficult for them to answer that because often it seems as if the world does not know what the black people has contributed in the world, because we are looked at as the ones who are not so intelligent, the ones who are not so. But the mere fact, there's lots of things that we have contributed. You look at music in general. When it comes to fun factors, when it comes to entertainment, when it comes to, we are the entertainers in this planet. Yes, you have the Western world that emphasizes on technology, that emphasizes, that's what you're good at. You have created the airplanes, you have created but without entertainment, the world is empty. So the black people, we came up with things such as pop culture. It's a birth of the black child. Dancing movements. When you think of vibration and fun, and that's who we are. When you think about naturality and preserving nature at its core, it's ours. You look at the continent of Africa today, that I'm gonna really go into this step by step. It's looked at as the third world, the world that has no sense of movement, the world that has no sense of new. We remain frozen in the past. But you have to also remember that Africa is the mother to lots of breathing things that breathe into that continent. The fact that we preserve it, we realize that in Africa, we are not only alone. We've got the lions that needs their own space. We have the giraffe we've got everything that resides behind the continent of Africa that needs to be preserved by the black community. That's why God gave us that land. So there is a lot of things that we do. We are the preservers. We preserve the new. Though you've got people who come into the continent, start hunting the animals so that they can have a pride in their hands that they have killed lions, they have killed. We don't do that. We preserve those. Now, this is where I want the world to start really looking at Africa. What is Africa? What is an African influence to the world? Our strength. We are created with extra strength in our bodies. I mean, if you're a white friend and you have been around black men and black women, you know that they carry this extraordinary power in their skeleton, in their body, that has been used over and over and over and over to build structures in Europe. They were taken in numbers by ships, sent around different parts of the world to create this so-called the new world that you see. America with their high rises. The black people have something to do with that. So do not erase what African has done in the world. Today, and it's so sad though now, because as a black woman coming into the world, I came in this world with such massive knowledge that I have given myself to try to understand and to be a part of this world positively. But somewhere, somehow, I was not given enough chance, because as black people, we are believed that we are from poverty. And for me, that's what needs to change in the world. For a white person to ask yourself, what can I do to change my narrative as a white person? It's to think that black people don't deserve to have a certain standard as the rest of the world. That's where you gotta have to start. When you have, there's an image that I just shared recently of Marilyn Monroe, which I adored. I adore that sister very much. And she said that there was a black musician who was not allowed to enter in different nightclubs where she had to sing, and they used to sing together. Marilyn Monroe used her white privilege to help that woman to succeed in her music. She used to go there and stand there every night to make sure that woman could come in if they wanted to stop her. What are you doing as a white person to help the black person climb the ladder, especially if you know that this person has what it takes? Because of your world closes doors. And that's the fact. Now, I'm going to talk about the negative side in the black community, in the white community, also in the black community. You thinking that every one of us deserve to live well in this world. Either you are educated, non-educated, we are all breathing beings that are very fragile. Human beings, we are very fragile. Can we now start thinking about our fragileness, that we need to stop being these strong powerhouses who are well developed and who have lots of food, and this food gets eaten and then it gets thrown away, while we know that the rest of the world, it struggles. The first thing that we need to do, racism, it's not the fact that you're killing me. Racism, it's not the fact that you have put your knee on the neck of George Floyd. Racism, it's the injustice, the inequality that we see daily. So as I said, thank you so much for coming up. Thank you so much for destroying the statues that has created this massive dilemma for me and you. We are the better generations, and we have to celebrate that. You are my brother, you're my sister, and I'm so happy that I'm born in this time. I'm born with spirits such as you, because our spirits are not saying, we are not doing the stupidity that our forefathers did. And we are all doing this. I mean, this is the most amazing time for my life, because I never thought that in my life I'll be able to have this discussion so openly. And you gave me a platform for you white brothers and sisters to see you joining the marches so much, even though they destroyed your shop. And I'm really sorry for those who have destroyed the shops and this vandalism that we saw. That's not the future that we wanted to see. That's the future that we want to erase. So those black women who know that their son has done that, you got to send those kids to the cops. So those kids, they take responsibility. So once again, thank you. Thank you so much, white brothers. And you're doing your best. It's not going to finish today, the struggle. We have to move on and move on and move on and move on. Now, coming to the black community. This is going to be very interesting, and some of you are going to be very angry at me, but we need to say it as it is. The white people are doing their best. What are you doing? Now, I'm going to put it very, very clear, because this is my domain. I know it to the best of my ability. Racism begins as well in your own shadows, black people. For the white people to know how to move forward in helping us to find ways to survive, we need to stop our nonsense, because we also have our nonsense that really nobody knows. We only do it in shadows. The fact that the Caribbean person think that an African person is useless. The fact that the African thinks that the Caribbean is useless. The fact that we are fighting, we've got this bigotry that we do among ourselves. That is real. I've seen it. I've been destroyed by those who look like me, who call me monkeys, because they come from the West. They were born in the West. Somewhere, somehow, you love Africa, but you dislike Africa, and you tell me that a white man taught you that. That's completely nonsense. So we need to stand up and say, the racism, for it to finish, we need to stop judging one another. You know, I was talking to a South African friend of mine today, and I say to him, we look at the pop culture in Africa, in America. Pop culture is completely African. Just taken and it's copy-paste and then polish it and make it an American way. Rap, It's our thing. We call it istegezelo. Istegezelo, it's something that I grew up seeing. And suddenly we started seeing in the 80s, and you call it rap, while we call it istegezelo. And you did it in your own way. You polish it until it was perfected. And today it's not only the black thing no more. It's a black thing, white people, everybody does it. Everybody raps. But there has to be an African soul to give you that. So we live on each other. We copy and paste from one another, and so the world evolves. But what I'm saying is that the African people themselves, they have to deal with their hidden shadows of hating one another and judging one another. Today, as a South African, sometimes I don't know how to approach my people, because I don't know if they're gonna judge me of you are from South Africa, or the country where you kill the Nigerians, where you kill, not really realizing that South Africa itself, it's still a very vulnerable country, because of we just won this so-called freedom 26 years ago. 26 years ago, we were isolated. We didn't know nothing of the world. So you came into the country with your own views, and you judge, you did whatever that you did. What I'm saying is that it's not a matter of us judging one another at this present moment. It's a matter of what are we doing ourselves to deal with our own hidden agenda that white people do not see. And it does not make us breathe. So Black Lives Matters, it's not only the story of a white man. I understand a white man has a bigger part himself to deal with his way of terrorizing the black people. But the black people as well, they have to do a lot to stop terrorizing one another. So Black Excellency today is that every black person who lives on the planet, you are brothers and sisters. Every black person who lives on this planet has a big part themselves to create that respect that they so much require from the outside world, from their own backyards. The first time that the black people are going to start realizing that we are actually not united, we are actually thinking that because if I'm from somewhere else, I'm better than the other Africa who comes from somewhere else. And when the world attacks you, they attack black. And only when we are attacked, only then we realize that, by the way, we are all blacks. Isn't that sadness? And I'm saying this, I'm not saying it because people might think that, Carol, you sound like you're struggling yourself. I am not struggling at all. I'm struggling with having a home that is given by my own people all over the world. I've had different stories, and that's where I'm so lucky, because I've traveled the world. I've been with the Americans, I've been with the Jamaicans, I've been with the Ghanaians, I've been with everyone. And what I'm seeing is that the white people have their own system, and that system they protect very much. And in that system, it's them. When you travel, as I have done lots of workshops, I've done workshops that everybody has came, and I've been very lucky because I was in the forefront in a black community, in the white communities, where I had the Germans coming to my doorsteps, where I had the French coming to my doorstep, when I had Belgians coming to my, I have seen white people in my courses, and what I find amazing is that when these white people came to learn this African culture that they found so rich, is that immediately they came in. Of course, they all greeted me, but immediately they gathered together. And then I was fascinated looking at how they reacted. And what I have seen in all these trips of mine, when white people get together to have one goal, and one goal is learning and discovering, they forgot about either they came from Holland, they came from Belgium, they were one. And they were one looking at me as an African, giving them an education that will come and then immediately it will go and spread in their community. It was always amazing to see that. And I thought, my God, they're so united. That unity, it's something that I long for for years and years and years and years and years. And sometimes, somewhere, somehow, we might look at that as white privilege, which is something that I find fascinating. So, in these matters that we are talking about, it's not for the white people to feel guilty, because we also have something in that. How many black people kill each other? Just for numbers. If somebody can come to you as a black person and say, I've got 1 million, go kill who? It's very easy to do that. I'm not saying that it does not happen to white community, though. I'm not saying that. I'm saying that as we are marching through this Black Lives Matters, let us really unravel really what it means to say Black Lives Matters. Let's unravel really the education and the strength, and stop telling others that because of you are born in Europe, you are black who's born in Europe, you understand it better. While in hidden sides of your own that European nonsense, you still talk about how did a white man scar you? How did an African sell you? So we sometimes tend to play these victims. We are the victims. We are the victims. Yes, the white man capitalized on that, of course. And who blames them? Would you blame them? If I come to a home and a home is completely destroyed, and I have a chance to come in and there's a gap, wouldn't you use that gap yourself? So a white man uses a gap because a white man knows that the black people aren't united. So black excellency today is that let us start embracing who we are. Let us embrace the Americans. I grew up in South Africa. My people, my elder people telling me that the black Americans, they are amazing. Yes, I didn't know much about the Caribbeans because in South Africa, they always talk about the black Americans. And I always aspired to be like the black Americans. Until I got to the black Americans. And the black Americans, they had a song of Africans are useless. And that was, for me, it was a slap on my face. And I thought, wow. In my continent where I came from, they told me that Americans will teach me more because the black Americans had understood the pain, and they took that and they created this massive powerhouse whereby they could teach the black people 1 or 2 things on how to survive. So we've got a lot to do. Black excellency. Let's talk about black excellency. I admire people like Martin Luther King. When you in Africa and think about the struggles, you bring people like Martin Luther King. You bring people like Malcolm X. You bring people like Maya Angelou. You bring people like Patrick Lumumba. You bring they are and the souls. You do not count them because of where they came from. Those are African souls and heroes that came and built the strength that we see today. So I say to you today, the Black Lives Matters, we need to stop blaming white people only. We need to also realize that there is a certain gap. And that gap is because we don't value our education. We don't value the impact that we have put in the world. You see people doing tattoos. You see people piercing their tongue. You see, there's a lot of black culture that I see out there being celebrated silently. But we don't celebrate ourselves. We scare one another. Celebrating black excellency for me is that we are amazing nations. We are beautiful. We are powerful. And the only way for us to know that, it's to tell you that the world knows how powerful we are. That's why the world stands with us today. What are we doing to stand together? And this is the biggest question as we are going through this Black Lives Matters. Because within a week or 2, this will fade away as if it never happened. Unless if really big change takes place. Do you value, America, that most of your strength today that you are celebrating when it comes to pop culture, give it back to where it came from? And when I'm saying this is that the excellency of Africa, it's not only to collect mathematics to collect your mummified papers, which is money. When we start respecting our cultures before linking it with money on how much millions I can make, that's when we're going to start valuing who we are. You know, it is so easy for a white person to trace their history. It is so easy for a white person to trace their excellency because they preserve their excellency. Even including Hitler. Hitler was the most disturbed man on the planet. But today you still see his videos being played in videos. If you go to Netflix today and put on Hitler movies, you would find. Where do I find the stories about Patrick Lumumba? Where do I find movies today about Chris Hani? Yes, you find lots of things about Winnie Mandela, but only when you search. We don't celebrate our archives, and I think it's important that we do. So and not only in one, and there's so much that I want to share and say. Black Lives Matters. It needs us to have a dialogue of unity and togetherness. Living in Belgium today, as a South African, it's very difficult to blend in. Don't mind my hands, I'm doing gardens, so my hands are a little bit shabby at this moment. Living in Belgium itself, I know that there's lots of people from Congo. And it remains, even when we travel outside of the continent of Africa or wherever we come from, we live in our small hoggies and we only rely on the white man to give us a breath for us to breathe. But we black people, we can't give ourselves a breath to breathe. So, Black Lives Matter, it means that black person, stand up and don't put too much burden on a white person by taking responsibility yourself. And I'm not saying no to the racism that I experience. As you have seen on Facebook, I have shared my pain of what a white man does to terrorize me. But a white man thinks that I'm easy to be terrorized because a white man knows that black people terrorize themselves anyway. So if we can stop terrorizing ourselves, maybe a white man will stop terrorizing us. So there's a lot ahead of us that we need to do. And thank God. And what I'm going to say, it's going to sound very crazy, but this poor guy who have just died, George Floyd, he died to sacrifice for the change. Is that amazing? On the biggest moment of our lives while we're dealing with things like coronavirus, we had to deal with men like George Floyd dying in such a harsh way, for us suddenly to start digging deep in issues that we never thought that we will ever see the dawn. And I'm really, really happy and honored that today I can speak for the first time since I was born, being put into this pressurized world where I was made to feel like I had no voice, I couldn't breathe. And the poor man dying for us so that we can have a voice to say, I can't breathe. Because often most of us, we were not given a chance to express ourselves. We were not heard. And George Floyd died so that we can be heard. Your story of moving forward reside on you. Now you have expressed your pain. We have expressed our pain. We have expressed our frustrations. And our brothers and sisters are listening. All of them. White, Indian, Chinese, whoever who's out there understands today the word Black Lives Matters. What does it mean? So now, what is the moving forward? Because in everything that we do in life, we also have to have the end goal. What is the end goal of this? What is our sense of agency as Black Lives Matters? I'm hungry. I'm hungry for sisters. I'm hungry for collaborations. I'm hungry to share. I'm hungry for something. And I'm not hungry for money only. I'm hungry for sisterhood and brotherhood. I've done sisterhood and brotherhood with the West. I've done sisterhood and brotherhood with the Middle East. I've been to the Middle East left and right. But I haven't been left and right in Africa, because of when you go to Africa, there's this thing that where I was even nearly had in Nigeria, because somebody realized that I was from South Africa. So there is a lot of things that we need to start opening borders, by opening our hearts and by having places where we can talk and really, really talk about things that has happened, and talk about forgiveness and moving forward as Black people first. Let white people deal with their issues. Let white people realize that they have a big play in this confusion of the Black people. As lots of you say, all these things started through slavery. But the fact that the white man could come and destroy us like that long before, it means there was already gaps in those times. So for me to go forward, and for us to go forward to feel comfortable, we need to close those gaps. And we need to watch a white man very carefully. I'm not saying let's not watch a white man, because a white man, I'm going to say to you, white men, white women, the story of Black Lives Matters, it's not a fashion that's going to suddenly fade away. It's something that we have opened a dialogue. And only if you can understand that this dialogue is to give the world a safety. So it's important to stay on it. Stay on top of it. Don't let it go. And come in with your hands hold together to try to help us as well to find a way to move forward. Because somewhere, somehow, there is a massive confusion as well in our communities. So this is Carol Matibula saying, Black Excellency, let's celebrate the Black Excellency. Let us remember that we are a big part of this world we're living in. We are not stupid at all. Because if it's a little African boy who's dancing a new dance, and he's 4 years old, he's implementing a lot of his energy at the age of 4 into the economy of the human race in this world. If it's a Black American child who has just came up with an idea and he's so amazing when it comes to science, he's contributing. So we are all contributing in this earth. And it's high time that we realize that either you are educated by the Western world institutes, or you are educated by just walking through the life of the University of Life, or you are educated through culturally, whatever education you own as a human being, you are valuable, and you deserve to be valued. We need to start valuing one another. So this is Carol Matibula saying, hi to the Black Excellency, and hi to the unity that we are receiving from the white fellow brothers and sisters. And with this, I shall say, I am very honored and very happy that I'm born with you. I came in this world when you decided to come. Because of your coming to this world and my coming to this world will bring the biggest change of our future generations to come, to live in peace and to govern as human being has given us, as God has given us these hands for us to be able to govern the world. Nobody has these tools but us. What are we doing with these beautiful 10 tools that often most of animals do not have? But are we going to keep on using them for greed? Are we going to keep on using them for license to kill? Are we going to keep on using them to blame and divide and conquer? Or are we going to be together and conquer the word love, peace, honor, and respect for each and every breathing thing that exists under the planet? So, lots is about to happen. Remember, these are times for change. These are times for spiritual awareness. These are time for reflection, renew, rediscover your inner magnificent change to beauty self. One love, Carol Matebula.